Hello, Army of Light, Earth Division, the boots on the ground. It's Shawna L. here. Today is December 27th, 2024. Welcome, everybody. I hope you all enjoyed your holiday. We are going a bit off script here with more information. Actually, RACER from the Galactic Federation of Light came through with a message here a couple of days ago. And then I had a pretty lengthy follow-up meeting with Melchizedek. Based on what RACER had said, we are talking about the Galactic Federation of Light. What are they up to today? Where are they? How have they been? How are the rebuilding efforts going? Honestly, I pulled up YouTube and some of my older videos from late 2022 popped up. And this is back when I was doing the Ascension daily updates with the Galactic Federation of Light and Melchizedek. I spent basically the first few years channeling the Galactic Federation of Light and then switched gears to the Queen Elizabeth series. And now we've been doing these weekly updates. And then, of course, the Decoding the Living Word Bible series. So we've gone through all kinds of iterations on this channel as the guides change, as frequencies change, as we become more ready for disclosure around the Negative Reptilian regime, who really has a stronghold on this planet. This is what we're all about here. So all of this kind of culminating and leading to this point here where we're at today, really in support of the light, in support of raising human consciousness, and in support of this phase of awareness that we find ourselves in today. This is what we're doing. This is all that we've been doing. So the old GFL stuff started popping up. And 2 years ago today, I put out a video where I had interviewed two beings from the Galactic Federation of Light. And for those of you who have been with me for a very long time, you'll remember who was in the hot seat. So I'd sit down and Melchizedek, the Galactic Federation of Light, they had me interviewing one or two beings from the GFL every day, and I was putting those videos out. I think I have 105 of those videos, and I interviewed dozens of different members from the Galactic Federation of Light. It played out like a Netflix series, and it was the coolest thing. And quite honestly, it went by so quickly, I haven't even had a chance to rewatch a lot of those videos. So I'm kind of like binge watching some of this stuff from December of 2022 when I was deep into the Negative Reptilian disclosure. And right before Queen Elizabeth came in with all of her incredible information about the regime. So I was just thinking, I said to Melchizedek the other day, wouldn't it be great to, get an update out to the constituents about the GFL? It's been so quiet. Many of us consider ourselves to be the boots on the ground, but connected to the Galactic Federation of Light, the Galactic Division. We are the Earth Division. This is why we are all coming together as we have as a collective based on these frequencies that have been put out, based on the information. I mean, let's face it, gang, we're talking about negative reptilians here and off-planet species controlling humanity, all facets of our existence. There's not a lot of people who are going to go, yeah, that feels right to me. So we are kind of bound by that and by this incredible mission of love and open-heartedness and really embracing love over fear and really learning who and what we are in truth. It has been an incredible ride, has it not? I would have never have imagined this for myself, but here we are 6 years into this, and I think it's quite incredible where we finally have ended up. But the GFL, it's been really quiet, and it was a devastating war. I want to go back and kind of piece together for all of you who are interested in kind of going back in down memory lane with me. And if you're new to the channel, welcome. There's so much to catch up on. There's so much information out there. I have 440 videos out right now with several playlists. I really encourage you, if you resonate with this information and you're fairly new to the channel, go back and listen to some of these GFL channelings from the daily Ascension updates. They're just really quite incredible. So I channeled the Galactic Federation of Light basically for 100 days straight early on. I basically channeled them for 2 years, from 2020 to 2022. And then we switched gears and we went to these daily ascension updates. And really, this is when the reptilian disclosure really kicked into high gear for us. And this is also when I learned much more about my previous lifetimes as a negative reptilian, kind of higher up in the rankings, helping to formulate these incredibly awful programs that are employed on Earth today and have been employed on Earth for thousands and thousands of years. So I have a huge karmic burden that I'm working through. And being this woman who used to be a soccer mom to come on here and talk about negative reptilians running the planet, it's part of my atonement. It's part of my karmic balancing to do this. And I've been at this a very long time. And the negative reptilians, they always find me as I incarnate on the planet, working on behalf of the light. And they take me out because, well, I'm a traitor to them, and I'm also a threat. And right now, as I mentioned last week, they've kind of upped the ante in terms of, seeking help in kind of removing my presence from the planet. So this has happened many times before, and it's something that I'm coming to grips with, but I'm feeling super, super supported and very much protected and very much loved. And I think we'll be okay, but it does make me want to get out as much information as possible, just in case something does happen. Again, I don't think anything's going to happen, but it's like, let's get this book done. Let's keep this thing rolling. So GFL, Daily Ascension Updates, Queen Elizabeth, 44 sessions with her from middle of January till the end of March. And if you remember correctly, at the end of March, things got wonky with her, and it turns out the negative reptilians were influencing her mentally and making her feel apathy toward the work that we were doing together. So there'd be hours and hours and hours where I'd be kind of waiting to hear her words, and they just wouldn't come and wouldn't come. And finally, it was determined that, yeah, they were meddling with her mentally. And this is also around the time that we start hearing about this idea of a negative reptilian battles, that they are attacking the Galactic Federation of Light. The first we'd heard about these the battles was toward, it was like March 22nd, 2023. And this is when we pivoted and we went to the weekly briefings. If you remember right, it was kind of an abrupt stop. Well, there was a full-scale attack going on with the negative reptilians and the Galactic Federation of Light. And this thing raged on for several months, and it really ended quite horribly for both sides, with neither side claiming victory. And Melchizedek had said that over 50% of the Galactic Federation of Light was no more after that battle. And RACER was one of those beings from the GFL who came through several times for us, several recorded messages, part of the daily ascension updates, and he perished in one of these battles. And when he perished, he decided he was going to be part of our team etherically, so one of our spirit guides. And a few more conversations came through with RACER after that. But then really it's been super quiet, I would say the last year or so with RACER. And with a lot of the Galactic Federation of Light, there's a few of us still channeling the Galactic Alliance with Star and the Light Renegades. So they are still doing work in a limited capacity, but certainly I've not been in touch with the Galactic Federation of Light much. I'm taking off my slippers, I'm getting hot. So I just thought it'd be really nice to catch up, and just find out where we at a year and a half later after this galactic war. And I will say too, and this is really hard, and we'll talk more about this, but one of the biggest reasons the negative reptilians decided to attack the Galactic Federation of Light was due to the disclosure work that we were doing with them. This was retaliation for us bringing this information forward to the planet. We were hitting it really hard, the GFL, and us channeling them, Melchizedek, working as a group to seed consciousness with this information. So, Yeah, and ever since then, we've kind of backed away a little bit, and it's a little like working on the book behind the scenes. We went from daily updates to weekly briefings, and the information was a little bit more about self improvement, self love, and we talked about negative reptilians, but not as hard hitting as the daily ascension updates when the GFL was really spilling all the beans about what's been going on behind the scenes with the NRs. So now here we are today. Where's the GFL? And here I'm going to get into what RACER had to say. RACER, when he was last embodied, he was a 90 Arcturian with the Galactic Federation of Light. All right, so this was December 24th, Christmas Eve 2024. Again, these videos popped up on my feed, and I was just reminiscing. I'm like, I wonder how RACER's doing. How's the GFL doing? I asked Melchizedek, like, what would they think about talking about the GFL? And they said they thought that was a great idea. And within like 3 hours, I'm sitting, and I'm not sure exactly what I'm doing, but maybe wrapping up dinner or something. I feel my energy change. And I'm not really sure who it is, but I'm like, hello. And they said, hi, Shawna, this is RACER. So he was back. Oh, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's so good to talk with you. How are you? I've missed you. I'm so glad that you are available to speak with us. It's been a very long time. I said, I feel so bad that you lost your life in this war, especially, if we had anything to do with, them attacking the Galactic Federation of Light. I feel terrible about this. And he just said, it's okay. I'm still very much alive, just in spirit form. He says, I'm enjoying what I'm doing. And there was kind of some big hugs, and I asked, can I record this? And he said, certainly. So we kind of reminisced a little bit, like, when's the last time we'd spoken? It's probably been about a year. I said, it's such an honor to catch up with you. Thank you again. And he's like, oh, thank you so much, Shawna. Such a beautiful heart. He said, it is wonderful to reconnect with you, dear one, to be back in this frequency and with you. And he said, oh my goodness, how things have changed. Really impressive, Shawna, really impressive. He said, what you're doing, where your field is at, even your state of mind. I am thrilled to be back, and it is an honor for me as well. I said, that's so exciting. I said, I don't know exactly what you know about what's been going on here, but, we, where I said, I'm like, do you want to talk about you? Do you want to talk about the GFL? Do you want me to ask questions? Like, how do you want to do this? And he said here, thank you, dear one. Thank you for the opportunity to address humanity. It has been a while since I've done that, and I just thought, why not? It's a great time to reconnect with everyone, and just to give an update, not only on myself, but on the Galactic Federation of Light and where we find ourselves today. All right. RACER continues here. It has been a major transformation for this group, for this organization. We've done a bit of collective soul searching over this past year and a half since the battle wrapped up. And we have been scarred deeply, Shawna, deeply scarred by what happened. There are deep wounds here that are still being tended to. We are nursing our wounds, and it has been extremely humbling for the Galactic Federation of Light. He said here, I still very much consider myself to be a part of the GFL, as I'm sure that you do and many of your constituents. You know we care deeply about these beings and the missions that they carry out and the work that they do. So yes, I'd love to take the opportunity to say hello, check in with you and your constituents, and check in with Melchizedek, he said. I said, this is wonderful. I said, come back anytime. All right, so how about a little bit of energy acclimation? So we got quiet for just maybe 10 or 15 minutes, and he kind of starts off, he's like, okay, we're ready here. He starts off, and I'm feeling the idea that he's kind of down, and he's holding both of my hands, even though he's really not in a physical form, and I'm not seeing an actual form. I am I am knowing the gesture of him holding both of my hands, and it feels kind of somber. And I said out loud, I'm like, uh-oh, this doesn't sound like good news. And I said, Racer, please continue. He said, I regret to inform you that Mantid is no longer with us in his incarnate form. He has passed on from that life, dear one. Yeah, so when I had talked to Melchizedek about connecting with Racer, I thought Racer and Mantid, it would be great to have Racer and Mantid both. And Mantid, again, also being part of the Galactic Federation of Light. If you remember, Racer and Mantid and Max were the 3 lieutenants that had been assigned to me shortly before this war began. Max not being of the Galactic Federation of Light. So, and I had seen Mantid since the war ended, and he looked really great. But yeah, he's passed on, they said. I said, that's too bad. I said, he was looking really good last time I saw him. I said, but it's been a long time. He said, yes, dear one. He died of natural causes, actually, but he had also grown weary with all the death and destruction from the recent war with the Negative Reptilians. He was ready to let that life go and start anew. He is in the in-between right now, recuperating, resting, and figuring out where he's going next. I said, okay, goodness. I said, bless his heart. May he rest in peace and find the perfect place to go, and may we have an opportunity to work together again. He said, yes, dear one. I said, thanks for telling me. He says, you're welcome. In terms of the Galactic Federation of Light, he continued, as I mentioned, we are reassessing everything. How do we support the light? How do we best support Mother Earth and all of humanity? How do we best support this sector of the cosmos? What is the best use of our skills and our efforts, our knowledge, our experience, our expertise? How can we make the biggest impact? What are our short-term goals and what are our long-term goals? He says, I'm not personally involved with this planning, though I do keep a pulse on what's happening and I do follow it quite closely. The Negative Reptilians know how to put up a good fight, he said. They're ruthless with their convictions and undeterred by any perceived threat or blockage to their plan. That being said, even we are surprised at the depth of their prowess, their ability to wage an intense war. This has been a wake-up call for many of us in the cosmos who watch such things and who are involved with this dynamic. It was a significant show of force, and they have left their mark. Wow. Even so, he said, they are no match for the power of light and the intrinsic way that existence seeks to be in balance. We will be back to continue to fight for balance, for justice, and we will be smarter than ever. More strategic, more stealth, and more powerful. Our tactics may change, but the mission remains the same. The GFL maintains its steadfast and full commitment to humanity and Mother Earth and this transformative ascension process. I never had a doubt that they were still around supporting us. I just really hadn't heard from anybody. And then he continues here. In the short term, the GFL maintains critical operations while ongoing talks and strategy planning for our next phase continue. Those of you who are our liaisons, the boots on the ground, the galactic war felt significant. Many of you have personal ties to the Galactic Federation of Light. Many consider yourselves to be a part of the GFL and or have fellow brothers and sisters aboard those ships. The GFL's service to you on the ground has had to change in the past year and a half. But we are indeed absolutely dedicated to supporting this mission, supporting your individual missions, and seeing this through to the very end. As for me personally, I have been very active in this in-between state, keeping somewhat of a pulse on Shawna's activities, the topics being discussed, and the level of threat to her life via the Negative Reptilian regime. We all pay attention to this. We take this quite serious. The The Negative Reptilian regime taking out members of the Galactic Federation of Light who are embodied as humans on planet Earth has been a favorite pastime of theirs. It's raining pretty good. All right. And them talking about this it definitely got my energy going deeper and deeper. To hear RACER talk about it, it just makes it feel a bit more real. Okay, and he continues here. Yes, dear one, Shawna is a threat to this regime because energetically, her words carry extreme weight. Even if the audience on the planet's surface are not massive, the impact of the words to collective consciousness is. The approximately 3 years, Shawna, that you've been speaking about the negative reptilians in detail, their actions, their thinking, their history and their background, what motivates them, how they manipulate and subjugate, the ritualistic behaviors, the manipulation, the depravity, the debauchery, the unconscionable. Irritated, so are they. Irritated. He said, I'm sorry, dear one, for all that you've had to endure over all these lifetimes of working on behalf of the light. You keep coming back, working harder than ever. And this is what we do in the Galactic Federation of Light. We keep coming back. We work harder than ever. Death does not stop us. We continue on, just in different capacities. We have some incredible things planned at the GFL, and eventually you will be made aware of these plans and will be involved to some degree. Okay. In the meantime, he said, I want to reiterate that all of your efforts are known. Your efforts are seen. They are felt and they are extremely important. If I am able, I will continue to bring you updates as things progress. It is an honor and a pleasure to be able to speak with you like this, to reconnect with your fields, to say that I love you. Thank you for all that you do. Godspeed and blessings to each and every one of you. I said, thank you so much, RACER, for that. It was beautiful. And I said, the team will be so happy to hear from you. And thank you. Okay. Okay. So I am going to switch gears here. All right. So again, RACER was a 90 Arcturian working on behalf of the Galactic Federation of Light, now a part of basically our guidance team. But has been very busy paying attention to what's been going on with the GFL and brought us that update. Okay, so I thought a lot about what RACER had talked about, and I had some follow-up questions that I asked Melchizedek yesterday. All right. I said, I have some questions for you, Melchizedek. I said, I've gone back through the whole timeline of when we started talking about negative reptilians, when we started hearing about the battle that had started, and really, what were we doing when this battle started? I said that we did the daily ascension updates, interviewing the GFL, and we talked almost exclusively about the negative reptilians. And then we went and talked about Antarctica, if you remember. In Antarctica, we got very serious about Antarctica, and we were sending light. We talked about their programs that were going on there, and between Antarctica and the Queen Elizabeth stuff and all the disclosure with the Galactic Federation of Light, I'm like trying to piece all this together. But and I remember in December of 2022, we had interviewed a guy by the name of Rake who worked with the Galactic Federation of Light. December of 2022, and they said, we have a super army ready, and we are concerned that a sneak attack could happen. That feels like exactly what happened in March of 2023 when they came through and began attacking. I said, did the negative reptilians attack the GFL at least in part because of the disclosure that activities that we were involved with. And here's what Melchizedek had to say. Said, yes, dear one, they did, and this is a difficult thing to describe, and it's even more difficult to come to terms with. However, we want to remind you that this was a team effort, all of us working together. You were really just taking our guidance and acting upon that guidance, dear one. So none of this reflects on you directly. I want to state that right from the beginning. This was our plan. It was our group decision to do this work together in the way that we did, it, Shawna. Yeah, I was just like feeling awful that war had started because of the work we were doing. They said, but yes, our understanding is that the negative reptilians, once they caught on that we were working directly with Queen Elizabeth, and they had caught wind of all the incredible information that was brought forth, this was in retaliation for this. This was sending a strong message. I said, yeah, I mean, we did, almost 40 Galactic Federation of Light interviews, almost all of them talking about the negative reptilians. And Melchizedek said, yes, Shawna, they were quite irritated. But Queen Elizabeth was the last straw from what we know. They began gathering their troops and formulating plans toward the end of 2022 and accelerated those plans with the channeling of Queen Elizabeth. As you remember, dear one, they also interfered quite a bit with her toward the end, as they were no longer holding back and had begun their attacks. So this is why this information was cut off in the way that it was, somewhat abruptly. She had said everything she wanted to say, though we were very close to being done anyway. But, as RACER had mentioned, there were some distractions that were being handled at the time, and it had to do with these attacks from the negative reptilians. Yeah. I said, this is awful to think about. I said, most of everybody who listens to our channelings is a member of the Galactic Federation of Light or is aligned in some way with this mission. I said, is that an accurate statement? And they said, yes, Shawna. I said, so the GFL, it is operating now, but only the more critical operations are underway. And Melchizedek said, Shawna, they continue to rebuild, and a lot of the planning they're doing now is looking toward the future. As RACER stated, it will be an incredible organization once changes have been made, but for now, they are still in transition. Still operating, dear one, but at a limited capacity. I said, because of this, have you had to step in more so than normal? Are you playing more of an active role because the GFL has been compromised? And they said, well, dear one, yes, we are taking a more active role. We are picking up the slack here. We are happy to do so and able to do so, but it has changed how we are all working together or how we had all planned to work together. I said, well, can you tell us more about that? They said here, the Galactic Federation of Light was spearheading the missions around the globe regarding the negative reptilian regime. They were the central organization, the central force, helping to oversee those efforts and to help manage them. Melchizedek has always been in the picture, but we play a specific role that they don't play. They have the tactical and technical means to execute large-scale plans with their resources. Melchizedek is not set up in that way, dear one, as you know. Yeah, I mean, think about Antarctica and all the work that the GFL was doing to support the boots on the ground over there. And, that's not something necessarily that Melchizedek would be a part of. So I said here, so I imagine communications and the guidance that would have come from the GFL, there being a gap now. And they said, yes, dear one, that's true. They said, we are happy to pick up the torch here and continue on with this information. We have been working very closely with the Galactic Federation of Light for a very long time and will continue to do so with their next iteration. So what we would say, dear one, is that while the mechanisms by which we all communicate have been modified, we are still absolutely moving forward as a cohesive unit, as a collective, working this mission and all that it entails. We haven't missed a beat, they said. I said, thank you, Melchizedek. I'm so thankful for you. We are all so thankful for you. I said, and honestly, we're thankful for all the guides who are stepping forward here. I said, there are so many. He said, yes, dear one, and that's another great point. Others, from the ascended masters to the galactics to the angelic realms, have stepped up their efforts with humanity to help make up for this gap with the GFL. Okay. Said it sounds like you've really taken over as the main liaison here for us, at least this particular collective. They said, yes, dear one, that is the case. I said, well, what else is happening? Are we more vulnerable here as the boots on the ground to attack from the negative reptilian regime in some capacity, whether that be through mind control or technical difficulties or somehow harming us physically? I said, does it leave us more vulnerable to not have the Galactic Federation of Light, their guidance and their management? And they said, we will say no, dear one. We've all pitched in to make up for any gaps in these areas. Though we'll also say it's not ideal. The Galactic Federation of Light was playing a critical role, but we do have the means and the resources to make up for that. We may do things a bit differently than they would, but we are in contact. And as mentioned, their critical operations are still underway, and there's still much coordination happening. Now with just a larger group of beings across different spectrums of existence, pitching in and helping here with the ascension on Earth. And I said, and elsewhere, I imagine. They said, yes, absolutely. I said, we've been kind of poking the hornet's nest here with all this disclosure, and we don't have a lot of viewership and a lot of subscribers. I mean, I said, it's still such a tiny fraction of people who are exposed to these messages through YouTube. I said, how do you feel about that, Melchizedek? And, RACER, in the channeling I just read from him, he said the same thing, like, while this is a small group, it is impactful what we're doing. And they've always said this, and they've said, don't do anything to promote this. It's exactly what it needs to be. Here's Melchizedek's response. It's the right people at the right time with the right amount of information, dear one. We're following the blueprint exactly. This is where we want to be right now. A seed is just that, a seed. It is meant to spread and grow with time, with nurturing. There's no reason to put you in harm's way by amplifying these messages to people who are not ready to hear them. We are being strategic here with the messaging and who it's reaching. And yes, the negative reptilians are also doing what they can to stop this information from spreading much further than it has already, but it is done. The seed has been planted. They said here, much of the information that has already been shared will be what carries these messages further and deeper into humanity's consciousness. It is an impactful body of work, dear ones, and it is doing what it is meant to do, and it will continue doing what it is meant to do. And that is to help raise awareness for this particular type of disclosure. I said, so, the Galactic War started. We stopped doing the daily updates. We went to weekly briefings. I said, and we also started the book, which is a little bit more under the radar. And then, of course, we pivoted to the Bible series recently. I said, I imagine that the Bible series is a bit more of a low-key way to continue with disclosure. I said, it's not so much in their face talking about, for example, the current operations in Antarctica. I said, would you feel like that's a true statement? We're kind of, going a little bit more low-key here since the war ended. And they said, yes and no, Shawna. Yes, in that it's not talking about direct current programs and operations like the Antarctica program. However, these seeds, the Bible, Genesis, Revelation, the Ascension, talking about the devil and Satan being a direct reference to the negative reptilian regime, are also quite important for the expansiveness of consciousness. This is also an extremely powerful series. I said, yes, okay. I said, speaking of retaliation, obviously they've put a price on my head recently. I said, do you believe there will be any other retaliation for the Bible series? Are they planning on attacking anytime soon on a larger scale? And Melchizedek said here, it seems that their offensive attacks are quiet at the moment. They too are regrouping and strategizing after the Galactic War. It also had a major impact to their regime. They also lick their wounds. They also plan for their future, but their options are much more limited as compared to the light. They won't have the means to expand exponentially like the light. I said, okay. I said, thank you. I said, RACER talked about how it really took people by surprise to see their quote unquote show of force and how brutal they could be, how destructive their army had become, that it was a wake-up call. I said, what does this mean in terms of how this regime is approached in the future and other situations? How does this change things for those who are entangled in this battle between the light and the dark? And they said, that's an excellent question, dear one. These things are still being determined. Every facet of how the light engages, when they engage, who they engage, is being restructured now. New technology, new ways of thinking, new ways of approaching diplomacy. It certainly was a wake-up call, and it does have far-reaching impacts to all organizations who work on behalf of the light, and there are many, Shawna. Yes. The negative reptilians, quote unquote, showed their cards with their weaponry, their strategy, their allies, how they fought their battles, all of it being analyzed. Sweeping changes are being made across these organizations. It's not necessarily the goal to just amass a bigger army with more destructive capabilities. They're looking at this from all facets. Peace is the main objective. The least amount of casualties as possible, a big objective. Diplomacy, peace, compromise, community are so important, but as you know, with a regime such as this, these things are extremely difficult to employ. This regime refuses to engage at those levels. They certainly don't play by the rules. This is forcing the Galactic Federation of Light and other organizations like it to rethink how they engage hostile species. It will be a better, stronger, let's just say smarter organization, a more effective organization. Oh my goodness, yeah, how do you engage a hostile species? Just right out of Star Wars. I said, okay, thank you so much, Melchizedek. I said, is there anything else that you think that we boots on the ground should know about any of this? Is there anything else? And here's what they had to say. Dear ones, this relationship may feel strained due to the losses incurred by the GFL. Know that the GFL absolutely supports you, they protect you, they love you, and they guide you. These are very strong relationships between all types of existence, and we are all working together on behalf of the GFL to continue to carry out the tactics and the day-to-day activities based on their overarching plan. The GFL never left. They are still here rebuilding. It will take some time. Know that there is a vast off-planet consortium of beings and organizations who support Earth, who support each and every one of you. Know this, dear ones, and please do not be afraid. The light has already won. Sometimes the path to victory takes some unexpected twists and turns, but we are ready for this and we will prevail. All right. I said, thank you, Melchizedek. While we're on the topic of the Galactic Federation of Light and UFOs and spaceships and all those good things. I said, here in Portland, not too long ago, like a couple weeks ago, airplane pilots saw red, strange disc-like things zipping through the sky. You didn't hear much about it, but I did catch some of this in the news. And I said, on the East Coast, there's all kinds of interesting things happening with the drones and other possible UFO sightings. I said, can you please help us understand what all this is or help address this? And they said, thank you, Shawna, for the questions. Unfortunately, they said, we are not in a position to speak directly about any of these sightings, dear ones, and we're sorry. We understand that galactic disclosure is an important part of humanity's expanding consciousness. However, we are not in a position to address what may or may not be extraterrestrial craft. We're not at liberty to speak about any possible alien contact. Trust us when we say we have good reason for this. And as the time is right, more can be said. But for now, we are unable to address these questions. They'd kind of said that to me earlier when I had asked about these red crafts in the sky. They said, we really cannot talk about this, but I just wanted to ask again and record their answer for all of you in case you were also wondering if they could address that. All right. That was really it. That was how we wrapped that up. So this is just really interesting, I think, kind of heading into 2025. There is so much activity going on, so many people channeling, so many people I'm close to really channeling their guides, channeling Melchizedek, channeling their spirit guides. And it's really the dawning of a new age for all of us here, and 2025 is going to be incredible. Volatile, if you remember from last week's channeling. Chaotic and volatile for those who don't really know what's going on here. We as light workers, we are the ones who are going to be the calm in the chaos. That beacon of light when things feel so dark for others. Remember, we are holding that torch. We're holding it high, and we're going to need to continue to do this into next year. But also, all these incredible gifts as light workers coming to fruition, coming to the surface, and us being able to really be really an incredible force for change when things are really going to get tough, okay? That's what we're doing. It's important. It's amazing. Okay, so I think next Tuesday is New Year's Eve. I do believe I'm making a video. I'm not 100% sure. This may be it for the week, but I'm not going to say for sure just yet. We'll see what Melchizedek wants to do. I'm certainly open to making a video about the Bible or about anything else, so we'll see where this is going to go. If I don't speak to you, though, have a wonderful new year. I'm wishing everybody a beautiful ending to 2024 and much excitement and blessings and love around 2025. All right, guys, thanks for being here. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for liking these videos. I love you, and I will see you all soon. Mwah.